What's up, and welcome everybody to the Jazz Huddle. It's Blake, and today we're going to be doing a podcast-style player breakdown, just looking at Rudy Gay. You talk about one of the biggest transactions this offseason for the Jazz. One name that would have caught your eye immediately if you were a Jazz fan was Rudy Gay, and that is who they got. I am very happy with this, but it's very important that we break this down. Let's see what he can really bring to this team. So I think it's really worth starting by saying that this is a proven 3-and-D guy. He's been in the league for 15 years. He's got over 1,000 games under his belt. You take a look at his 2020-2021 stats. 63 games he played, 11.4 points a game, 4.8 rebounds, and 1.4 assists. He also shot a pretty good 42% and 38% from three-point land. I mean, I really like this guy. He kind of reminds me of Jordan Clarkson in a lot of ways, just the way that he shoots and just plays in the offense. He's a real shoot-first kind of guy. But most recently, this is a guy who's played 4 seasons in San Antonio. He knows his role, and I would say that he's adapted to his age extremely well. And just taking a look at his shot chart from last season, he doesn't shoot from the corners a lot, and when he does, he's not great from both the left and right corners. And that's a great thing because Bojan Bogdanovic, that is his primary shot choice. He likes to sit corner. He likes to get that. So first of all, I'm looking at Rudy Gay as a floor spacer because you have Bojan sitting in the corners, and then there's Rudy Gay who likes to go wings, and he's a fantastic shooter from the wings, 42.9% in that last season. I really love everything about that. I mean, that's really important. So if you take a look at his wing shooting, 33 for 77 from the left wing last season and 39 for 91 from the right wing. And surprisingly, both of those percentages add up to 42.9%. And my biggest takeaway from that stellar wing shooting is that Quinn Snyder is probably going to put him there quite a bit in this offense. He's likely going to be sitting on the wings quite a bit when he's in the game. I think it's also worth noting that he shoots a lot from the mid-range. This is a guy who shoots a lot more than the average 3-and-D type wing. His accuracy there is pretty average, so expect Quinn to let him shoot just a little bit, get him some shots in that area, maybe get him a little bit loose. One surprising aspect to his game is that he is pretty below average scoring in the paint, which is bad. I mean, despite his large frame, that could be because he's old. It could be from a host of other reasons, but it's also it's good to know that he has not taken a lot of shots there in his career, and he's just not that good of a scorer from down there. But during his time with the Spurs, Rudy Gay has put a huge emphasis on three-point shooting. Before then, he was not huge on that. He was still okay at it, but he doubled his attempts from that range in his 4 years with the Spurs, so expect him to get a lot of three-point looks with the Jazz. He really loves, this is pretty much his signature move, he likes to put his body into the defender. He tries to get some space in the mid-range, and then he tries to execute from there, taking shots, doing whatever he needs to do to fill that gap. And he also, one tendency that I don't like, and this is something that a lot of Spurs fans kind of hated, he really likes to shoot early in the clock. And that's something that I think Jazz guys are not going to like a lot either. But we've looked at Jordan Clarkson. He does that as well, but he is extremely efficient about doing so. If Rudy Gay can kind of try to match that kind of production, just being able to accurately shoot within the first few or 5-6 seconds of a possession, then that's fine. But if he's going to rush shots, then they're not going to like that. They're going to tell him to try to tone it down. And whether that works or not, we're just going to have to see. But again, he really loves that mid-range. And again, that early tendency to shoot in the shot clock. He will obviously fill the power forward spot on the bench that was left by Georges Niang leaving for Philly. But I feel that if you put them side by side and you looked at Niang and you looked at Rudy Gay, who are you taking? The obvious answer is Rudy Gay. I don't know of anyone who would choose Niang over Rudy Gay. No chance. Again, huge upgrade. And it's also, I feel like it's worth noting that Quinn Snyder may want to try to replicate a small ball lineup. We all saw what happened with the Clippers. They got eaten up by that. I feel like he might want to try to figure out a way to implement that into our own offense so maybe we can beat teams the same way. And Rudy Gay, he is a guy who definitely has potential as a small ball 5. And that's really what killed us. You saw Nicholas Batum, not the biggest guy, but he can shoot and he can move corner. He is more of an off-ball guy, while Rudy Gay really loves that pick and roll. He likes to be on ball all the time. So we'll just see what they want to do with that. But again, that's going to be really, really lucrative for this Jazz team. And if they can get him into that spot where he is playing as a small ball 5, I feel like that's going to immediately pay dividends on the offensive end for these guys. And let's talk about playmaking. Gay averaged 1.4 assists last year. That seems to be pretty telling about his play style and playmaking ability. He's going to be a guy who has a score-first mentality, which, again, is similar to Jordan Clarkson. But when absolutely needed, he can make the plays he needs to, which is what's most important. And, again, Gay is very comfortable in pick-and-roll settings. That's what a lot of the offenses of past teams that he's been on have had him in. And as the Jazz tend to center a large chunk of their offensive sets around that scheme, I feel like that's pretty important. We see it all the time with Rudy Gobert. They try to get him involved in the offense, and one of the best ways of doing so is getting him on that pick-and-roll action, easy points, and I feel like that's going to be something that we're going to see a lot out of Rudy Gay for. One of the most important parts to recognize in this signing is his rebounding because again, I mean, this is one of those other issues with the Clippers. I feel like when we meet our maker every year in the playoffs, we try to change a couple aspects of our game that might help us beat that same kind of team the next year, and rebounding was definitely one of those things. So you take a look at Rudy Gay, who is arguably one of the best wing rebounders that we've had in a very long time. I saw a stat not too long ago that per 36 minutes, he nearly doubles what Bojan Bogdanovic has had. So obviously he is a way better rebounder than Bojan Bogdanovic. And he averaged 4.8 rebounds last season, and that's compared to Bojan's 3.9. But he played a pretty similar amount of time. So I feel like they're comparable, but I would definitely take Rudy Gay in that situation. Considering that Gay actually plays a little bit less time than Bojan, I feel like that's pretty important. He could be one of the best rebounders that the Jazz have had in a while, but I feel like it's also worth noting again that he is 34. He might not be as, athletic or bouncy as he was a few years ago, but that's okay. Mainly what I'm looking for is the aggression, just that kind of feel that some of the other guys on this secondary for the Jazz don't have. Again, 4.8 rebounds last season. Super solid numbers, super solid. And before we talk about defense, I feel like it's really important to recognize that Gay is 34 again, so he may not be as good laterally moving. He's a pretty decent defender from the perimeter. He's not amazing, but he can get up in your grill. He's just one of those guys that helps your defense work. He's like a defensive facilitator. He gets things to happen, and that's really what the Jazz are looking for in him. And honestly, I feel like if you have that situation where maybe Bojan is out or Royce is out and you have to insert somebody into that starting lineup, a guy like Rudy Gay is going to be perfect for that. He's not too bad, and I feel like he could pretty aptly fill that role that one of those guys would be leaving. So I'm really happy with this, and I'm pressed to see what you guys think, because it's just one of those moves where it could go either way. I know that I've heard a lot of different opinions on this, but I feel like this is a guy who can really help the Jazz out. I feel like it gets them one step closer to that championship level that they're trying to get to. And we have to remember the Jazz are in a win-now situation, because if they don't win, we see problems all the time with this. The players in the organization who are stars and they are not winning, they become unhappy. And that is something that the Jazz really, really need to avoid. We got to keep Donovan Mitchell. We have to keep Rudy Gobert. Even though I feel like the one that's more of a threat to leave is Donovan, just because a lot of teams want that kind of guy right now. It is just one of those things where we have to win now. We have to execute at a high level immediately, and we have to take advantage of this easy schedule that we have starting off the year. And I honestly feel like Rudy Gay is going to be huge in that. He really added and filled a spot that was really shaky with Niang. We saw how he played in the playoffs, just not efficient at all from downtown. He was losing guys on the defensive end all the time, and we wanted him out. And I know if you go watch our streams from the past, we have been a big Niang fan in the regular season, but man, when the pressure hits, that guy folds. So you have to be able to replace him, and I feel like this is a guy who's going to be very, very good in that role. So what are my overall thoughts on this? Great signing. Jazz did a great job this offseason. I'm excited to see what he can do, and the season is quickly approaching, so make sure you stick around. We are going to be posting a ton in the coming days and weeks, so make sure you stick around for that content. Also, next episode of this podcast style thing is going to be Hassan Whiteside. I'm going to try to see what role could Hassan Whiteside be playing. But also, I feel like one last point real quick is that obviously Rudy Gay is not going to be a starter. He is going to be a bench player, but just look at how our bench has improved. I feel like Derek Favors has aged a lot more than Hassan Whiteside. While I don't necessarily love Hassan Whiteside, he obviously gives some statistical advantages to the Jazz over what Derek Favors was giving us. So that's very important to me. And honestly, I feel like the Jazz have done a really good job. They are developing their young talent now, and Jared Butler, I feel like he's going to get minutes. So that is all coming up soon on the channel, on the Jazz Huddle. So make sure you stick around, be paying attention, turn those notifications on, and make sure to subscribe so we can hit you with all of the action and inform you on what is going on in the NBA, especially with the Jazz. Thank you very much for tuning in, and we will see you next time.